Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody logged in today, and thank you for attending today's technical overview of Arcserve Unified Data Protection V6 release. Sue Ullins-Mosevich and Stacy Budd will be your hosts today, and you can send them questions throughout the presentation using the question section of your interface. Later this afternoon, I'll email everyone a recording of this webcast, so you can keep an eye out for that. With that out of the way, take it away, Sue.
Thanks a lot. Hi there, good morning. Welcome to the Partner Tech Webcast for Arcserve's newest release, Unified Data Protection version 6. We are really thrilled to have you here today. Thanks for taking the time out. And especially, meeting with our partners is a really important thing, especially in advance of the newest release. Today we're going to share a bunch of new exciting features, do a live web demonstration for some of them to you today with Stacy Budd's help. We hope you'll leave this call just as excited as we are. We're looking forward to supporting our shared customers together. My name is Sue Ullins-Mosevich, as Mary mentioned, and I'm here with my colleague Stacy Budd. Hey Stacy, how are you doing today?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. We represent the pre-sales organization at Arcserve in North America, and our team is geographically aligned throughout North America. We work closely with the territory and partner account managers in the sales organization to support your accounts. And you can always reach out to us directly through our sales counterparts or us, and we're always happy to answer your questions. Just a reminder that there is a question and answer panel in the GoToWebinar console. Feel free to use that. When we have a pause here and there, we're gonna take questions, and hopefully we'll have some time at the end of the call to do the same as well. So just a quick refresher for those of you before we get to the product details, and just a little background about Arcserve. We are a new global company which spun off from CA Technologies in August of 2014, so we're about a year and a half old, but not too bad as a global company spanning 150 countries with over 7,500 partners, 45,000 customers, and we're really focused on providing the best data protection in the industry. So in the year and a half since Arcserve has become an independent company, we've released over 5 updates to products, offering new features, released a line of physical appliances, introduced a second larger line of appliances, a cloud offering, and now, of course, the newest version of UDP. Meanwhile, we continue to address cost and complexity issues faced by companies today. And we're really proud that the industry is taking notice down here at the bottom. Our solutions have taken top honors at VMworld in San Francisco this year, as well as VMworld Europe, beating out our fiercest competitors in the space. We've received recommendations from PC Pro, received a CRN Channel Chiefs Award, Computer World, Reader's Choice Award. All these great things have come our way because people are really taking notice of the technology that is driving our data protection strategy. We're really thrilled about the newest release, though, of Arcserve's Data Protection Solution, Unified Data Protection version 6. At the end of this presentation, we think you'll agree with the positive feedback Arcserve's been getting from the industry. We'd be delighted to partner with you to bring the best data solutions to your end users hand in hand. Now, we recently did a survey of 138 IT professionals. We conducted this survey. 65% of those respondents had to use their data recovery solutions in the past year, right? That's a good percentage of them. They had to restore individual files or folders or whatever. But nearly 20% of those companies that had to do that failed to get back all their data. And this is key. This is why our end users, our partners are coming to us saying, we need a new strategy. And that's what UDP version 6 is going to be all about. So introducing version 6 of Unified Data Protection. Really, there are some key themes to this release. They are really unifying the platforms, be they physical or virtual, Windows or Linux, our product with its own core components, really making parity between the Windows and Linux capabilities within the product. The next basic theme is simplicity. easier to install, easier to download, easier to manage and license, faster installation, getting started wizards are even more robust in this solution, in this version, and simpler to manage a lot of the more complex tasks, even things like being able to integrate Arcserve, the tape integration with the Arcserve UDP console, rather. So simplifying, clarifying, making it easier for customers to use the product. But the third theme really is moving further into the enterprise class. We are taking enterprise class functionality, providing the tools necessary for really very complex environments, even while maintaining that simplicity we talked about. So IT managers can take advantage of the high-end infrastructure while simplifying the management of it. But that higher-end infrastructure requires faster and more powerful and recovery management options. So, that's what we're balancing here, is that more enterprise class approach while maintaining simplicity and unification. Moving on. So let's take a look at some of those features in the first two themes, unified and simplified. Now we've added a unified product installer, which we're going to demo today. It's a far simpler way to download, trial, install when we actually do go live. Simply click on which components you need, Arcserve Backup, Arcserve UDP, Arcserve Replication High Availability, and install all the components that are necessary for you to be successful. Once you do have it installed, making it simpler with the new Getting Started wizards that will just setting up a plan, setting up a recovery point server, setting up a destination, sites, things like that. These are all significantly easier to configure in the newer version. Alongside that, of course, is license activation and management. It makes it, we've created an automated approach to licensing and activation that's way easier. I mean, in any software, one of the biggest tech support call generators is, and stressor for customers is dealing with that license activation and management piece. This has been newly automated. It's a huge step towards simplifying things for both customers and for us to help our customers. And then I mentioned briefly the unified tape management. The directly managing tape from right inside the UDP console. We're going to show that again today too. And being able to do that right inside the console is a big deal. We're really excited about that piece. Moving on. So let's move further, though, into another theme, which is that enterprise class approach. We are improving data collection by allowing for core replication and recovery performance improvements. So what does that mean? We're able to create RPS WAN replication improvements up to 62% faster. We've done some testing. We're able to replicate RPS components, that is the individual recovery points and things like that, significantly more quickly. We've enhanced the performance for copying recovery points even within an environment of up to 52% faster, and we've enhanced recovery performance for virtual machines to up to almost 30% faster. We've clocked it at 28% faster than previous versions. And bare metal recovery straight from the recovery point server store. So because we use a new asynchronization mechanism to optimize the throughput of copy recovery point, we've been able to do all of these improvements, recovering VMs, bare metal recovery jobs, all of that is based on this new technology. Now we've also added enterprise storage array snapshots. So things like NetApp and other enterprise storage arrays, allowing us to do hardware snapshots and that are very low impact on both virtual and physical production servers. Now we're starting with NetApp FAS, the fast storage devices, but we are planning to very quickly expand the additional hardware devices that we're going to be supporting with this. Now we also support VMware vSphere's version 6, which of course includes a whole bunch of new features, but virtual volumes, VVOL, is a really big one. And the VVOLs allow administrators to manage each VM as an individual entity, and we do support that. So this update will certify for customers that the UDP agent and agentless backups work successfully with VMware's latest products, and providing an assurance that they can deploy VMware v6 into their environments with some confidence. And Arcserve will continue to provide that support. But ultimately, when it really comes down to it, especially in the higher ends, well, at any level, it's all about recovery, right? So we're adding 2 very significant new recovery options for our customers. First is Instant VM recovery, and the other is Instant VMR. Now, for Instant VM allows us to power on quickly both Windows and Linux virtual machines directly from their UDP recovery points. It supplements our existing virtual standby feature. What's different about this is virtual standby requires you to have storage in your destination host ready with all of its baseline full snapshots of VMDK files or VHD files, and register each of the individual incrementals in storage in the destination. However, Instant VM recovery does not require that. It basically powers it on and converts it on the fly as it's doing, and basically does not require any additional storage in the destination beforehand. So we're going to demo that today. We also want to talk a little bit about Instant VMR, which allows local and remote bare metal recovery of Linux physical machines from within the UDP console. So we've got, it's a slightly different approach. We're going to show both again in this demo. So we're pretty excited to be able to share this with you. Each has its own purpose. It neither takes away the virtual standby technology, but we're excited about both because we really think that can add value to our customers. So moving on, Stacy, please. Okay. So we talked a little bit about this. It supports some of the benefits here directly from UDP recovery points. Agent-based and agentless is supported. You don't need to pre-convert the nodes into a destination, so you don't have to worry about storage space. And we support a variety of infrastructures, Windows, Linux, virtual to virtual, and virtual to physical. Now, Instant VMR, local and remote, again, Linux focused. So this is you don't need to have physical access to the protected system to boot from it. You can just basically boot from your recovery point snapshots. But what's also cool is that you can be booting the node and using it before it's fully recovered. So the Instant VMR is available for Linux. We still support our regular Windows VMR, but that does need to be fully complete as a bare metal recovery process before we use the node. Not that much different, though. So more under the hood stuff, management enhancements like role-based administration, which is something people have been asking us for a while. We've always had it within Arcserve Backup, but now we have it in UDP, so a lot of control there. We'll show that live in just a moment. Remote site management, the ability to do WAN management without having the VPN requirements. Without needing to use network address translation like NAT, all of those things, we've created a way to link the sites and manage them remotely without VPN requirements. It's very, very powerful stuff. Now, one of my favorite things is, and it's not a huge thing, but it's a huge thing in practice, rebootless Windows agent deployment. So we do not have to reboot your domain controller when you put an agent on it. This is a good thing, right? So we're very excited about that. And there's a lot of customers asking, especially with the Linux world and everyone being even more powerful in this version, the new command line interface, pretty awesome. We can create scripted management of UDP on Windows Core Server, makes life a lot easier in test automation and so on, and also APIs and working together. Speaking of APIs, Agent and Console version 2.0, so we've added some more API interaction, a diagnostic utility that makes customers experience with tech support significantly better because we don't have to ask them to manually go collect logs and send them to tech support if they need help. of the frustrating points. We just say, go run this, and boom, we've got the logs, and that can be automatically mailed over and sent over to support. So there's some other, session password and RPS data store capacity planning, all that good stuff. There is a tool that we can work with in conjunction with pre-sales on understanding the actual infrastructure within your environment, what your data looks like, whether it's deduplicable, if that's a word, and how likely the compression is going to be. How far down are you really, in your world, going to be experiencing deduplication. So that's a really nice capacity planning tool. If you want to use it, reach out to your pre-sales person. So Windows, just some quick notes here, Windows and Linux updates that I'm going to go to, and then we're going to get straight to the demo. Windows Workstation 10, pretty excited, Exchange 2016. And with that, and this is actually something that's released already in the version 5, most recent update. Exchange granular recovery has gone beyond our previous email-specific and their attachments restore. We now can go further into Exchange granular recovery to non-email items, so calendars and tasks and journals and so on, without having to do a whole mailbox store. Now, we were able to do granular restore before, just emails and so on, but this additional capability is something that our customers have also been asked. And also being able to do the RPS file copy, that is a recovery point server file copy from a recovery point server into a public or private cloud. This is something, again, that the customers have been asking for, and we're happy to do it. For Linux, really the theme here is parity between the Linux capabilities and the Windows capabilities. Previously, we had to collect data in recovery sets in version 5 and earlier. Now we're able to use all of the same capabilities that a recovery point server makes available to the Windows side. So we can do source-side global deduplication now on Linux, replication to a recovery point server, merging of recovery points, that is the infinite incremental sort of ongoing rolling set approach that we use in Windows. We can support instant virtual machine recovery and instant VMR now, RPS to RPS replication. These are all RPS-related technology. We're doing bare metal recovery of UEFI systems and moving archive to tape from recovery point servers. So a lot of other great stuff there. We've expanded the kernels that we support within Linux. So Red Hat Enterprise Linux, we've got CentOS version 7, Oracle Linux 7, and so on. You can see this list here. I don't need to read the whole thing off, but we see like Ubuntu and Debian, which we're really excited because these are very popular kernels. And granular recovery for Linux virtual machines, file folder recovery by even agentless host-based backups and so on. We can include and exclude volumes and so on too. So these are all things that really expand our Linux capabilities. So just to kind of clarify with Linux, the agent and agent-free backups can do instant bare metal recovery and get data to an RPS recovery point server, which it never could do before. Now we can also use that to replicate to an off-site RPS or another RPS in the same environment, or even out to the cloud. Now the agentless VM Linux backup can also do instant virtual machine and all those things that we mentioned before. So really expanded the capabilities here with Linux in this version. So I'm going to bring Stacy online here real quickly. Stacy, still there? Thank you for helping me out to this point. So I'd love to have you share with us what some of this actually looks like. I know we're all anxious to see it, so thank you.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and close this out real quick, and what we'll do is we'll start out, Sue, from the actual beginning, which would be, and let me make this full screen so we see it a little bit better there. What we'll do is we'll actually take a look real quick at the installer, and then we'll kind of go through from there on. So let's go ahead, and I actually have the downloader here, so we'll just connect into that real quick. And it's going to load up, and this is what the customer would expect once they get the email. They click and it takes them to this link that we just opened up here. And of course, we're going to accept the EULA, and we're going to go ahead and choose whether or not we want to participate in Arcserve's product improvement program. This is nothing new. Customers have been doing this for years with other vendors, where we get to see what's going on and capture information, not personal information, but just information about the environment and those kind of things that can help us develop better products, right, and address things as far as that goes. So of course we would hope that customers check that and choose to join that program. Then we're going to go ahead, and it's going to take a look at what I have here, and we're going to go ahead and click Next. And in my case, I already have some things installed, so it's intelligently looked at what I have installed and told me here I can choose to install the high availability product because I already have Arcserve Backup Unified Data Protection installed. So as this was one of our challenges, right? Unfortunately, was sometimes customers didn't understand which pieces to install and all of that. It wasn't always clearly defined. Much clearer defined now for customers as far as that goes. So it should be fairly straightforward when they go out and choose what do they want to download and what features are they going to get out of that. So I'm actually cancel out of this because we don't need to wait for the high availability to download or any of that. So we'll just go ahead and exit that, and we'll go ahead and access Unified Data Protection. We'll log in here real quick. I've not registered that certificate yet. That's why we have that error there that pops up, and we'll just go ahead and log in. I'm not the fastest typer in the world, so please bear with my slow typing. At least it wasn't incorrect, so there we go. It'll go ahead and launch the console just like we had in version 5, so no changes here. One of the changes that we do have is, if I come over here real quick, let's go ahead and launch our Express Resource Configurator. And this is what a customer will see when they first log into to UDP version 6, and you can access it later through the button there on the Resource tab as well. So this will take us through, and it'll show us and allow us to kind of, just like we had the Express Wizard to set you up with the appliances, we've now moved that into the software as well. You can go ahead and add your nodes, create your plans, do all of that you'll have as you go through. So we'll go ahead and select Next, and we'll go ahead and name our plan, give it a session password, the type of nodes that we want to protect. We can go a little bit further. I don't want to go too far into this because I just want to show that we have this new wizard to kind of help us out. Let's make sure our passwords match there. As we said, I already have that plan in place, so let's just do a next one, right? And then it'll go through importing our nodes that we want to import, and there's of course 8 steps to this, which are creating your backups, your destinations, and all of that throughout that. So a simplified wizard to kind of help the customer get through and start using the product, so right away they can have a positive experience using the product, a simplified experience, if you will, and can start protecting their machines, which is what we really want from then on. We'll go ahead and skip the rest of this because I already have some plans created and things like that, so we'll go ahead and skip that. And what we'll do here is, let's refresh the page here real quick. There we go, and we'll hop back over to our Resources tab. And what I want to show you next is, I want to show you a couple of features that I think that, for me, are very important. One of those features is being able to manage, remote sites from one console. Right, so what we can do is we can deploy out what we call a gateway server, And that gateway server, they'll be one at the main site, one at the remote site, right? And it'll allow us to basically create, if you will, a tunnel between the two sites, pass through, so now we don't have to open up ports and firewalls, anything like that. Everything will work over that 8015 port, I believe it's 8015, in order so you don't have to open up those ports. The other nice feature is I have my site up here, my local site. I have my other site which I can go through then and get those same functionalities. So I see my machines that I've added through there and all of that. And I can create my plans. I can do everything from this main console that I'm working with. So it adds functionality from a management perspective where I don't necessarily have to have, you know, people to manage all of that at the other locations. I just need to go ahead and install the gateway, the agents, and I'm good to go pretty much. Recovery point servers over at that other site. So it makes it much easier to manage and do all of that as well. Then a couple other things I'd like to show you is, you know, changes within the plans themselves. So let's go to some plans that we already have created here. So I'll go down to all plans, and let's just go to this protection plan that I have here created. We'll go ahead and show, you know, how easy it is to set up, you know, hardware snapshots. Well, you know, it's really the click of a button, right? So we go in and under the advanced tab, we just go ahead and tell it to use hardware snapshots wherever possible, and it'll go ahead and take advantage of that. So fairly easy, fairly straightforward for the customer in order for them to be able to use hardware snapshots. Other things that we could look at as well, under tasks, new tasks that we have available for the customer, we can go in and select the type of task that we want to do. We could do, let's start out with FileCopy, right? So under FileCopy, I can go in, and now this what previously was, this is if you will, a feature that we had, you know, under the D2D product, right? And it was also under UDP, but not when we were using a recovery point server. So now with version 6, we can take files and move them off of our destination or our backup and go ahead and move them out to another destination, right? So we're going to choose how often do I want to move files, you know, where do I want to move them from, and let's just be really aggressive and move them from our C drive here. And let's choose to move, again, we're going to be really aggressive. Let's just move, I don't know, audio files or something like that, right? And we're going to go ahead and select OK. And then we can choose our destination, which could be cloud storage, a network share we want to move them to, and if we go with cloud storage, things like Amazon, Azure, things like that. Do we want to compress that? Do we want to encrypt that? Those kind of things. So it gives them that capability to take and migrate data off and be able to actually have maybe just particular files moved off to another destination as opposed to the whole entire image, right? We still support, you know, things like moving from RPS to RPS, moving our backups themselves in the whole image. Maybe they don't want to move as much data. They just want to move key files, PDFs, whatever it might be, off to another location. So that's a feature within FileCopy that's now been brought in and available to all our customers using recovery point servers as well. Also from a tape perspective, previously if you wanted to archive off to tape, what you would do with version 5 is you would access Arcserve backup, and there was a section in there that said recovery point servers, and it was fairly straightforward, but how much easier can you get? Right within the console now, you just go ahead and choose the task, which would be to archive to tape, choose your destination. I should go back here. I'm only doing daily backups, but of course we could do this daily, weekly, or monthly. Our destination is going to be our backup server, and it's still going to leverage Arcserve backup, but all they need to do is install Arcserve backup, configure if there's anything special with the tape, like tape libraries, anything like that, configure at that point, and then they're done in Arcserve backup pretty much, right? Choose our media group that we want to go ahead and connect to. Do we want to multiplex? Do we want to encrypt? Do we want to compress? And by the way, here's my media down here all the way at the bottom. And then our schedule, right? How often do we want to do this? We're going to go ahead and add an archive schedule, boom, and we're good to go. And we have our media pools and those kind of things. I won't go into too much detail more than that, other than just showing, that that functionality is now within UDP version 6, and you know what, making it simpler for the customer to go ahead and do that. Tape is still a big presence. I don't see it going away anytime soon. Going to disk first, definitely with so many customers doing that and going to that, but customers that need to retain data for long periods of time still need to archive off to tape. Medical comes to mind, legal, those kind of customers. So now pulling that functionality within UDP, making it that much easier. The last two things or last couple things before I jump into, I'm going to show Instant VM, I'm going to show Instant Bare Metal Restore, but the last little thing that I want to show here is role-based administration, because everything that I just showed can be set up, and you can go into user management here under the configuration tab. We'll go in and launch this console. Go ahead and continue to the site. And I'll log in here real quick. And we'll go ahead and make this full screen because there's going to be quite a bit to show here. So under users roles, of course, we'll be able to go in and any of the users that we have created, that we have in our domain, and be able to grab those users. And assign them roles. There was assign roles right there next to it. But what's really going to be important here is our roles. By default, there's, of course, our administrator role, our backup role, our monitor role, our restore role. I'll go into some detail on these in just a moment, and our RHA admin role. If we take a look at adding new roles, right, we choose our domain that we want to add those to, our primary domain in this case, and we'll just create a role. We'll call it a demo role here. Choose next. And I want to show you everything that we're going to have capable. I'm not going to go in detail in every single one of these, but you can see here we have, perform backups, and under that, performing backups, backup node now, right? So right-clicking on a machine and saying backup that machine now, checking for updates, configuring the system, administrative account information, resetting, sharing out plans, user management, the piece that we're in right now, license management, managing Instant VM, having that capability on there as well. We'll go ahead and minimize these. Managing resources, creating, updating, deleting resources, adding Hyper-V consoles, deleting backup servers, creating backup servers, adding and creating and deleting and updating cloud accounts, doing this RPS Jumpstart. So if you recall, RPS Jumpstart was a way to take data off of the RPS server, move it to media, and then bring it into another RPS, import it on that other site. So this is something we may want to restrict, right? Because this would be a way for somebody to take and pull data off of our backups and take it off site. So this is something we may want to restrict capabilities, who we want to be able to do that, depending on the customer. If they're security conscious, then usually this is when we look at role-based administration, is when we have security conscious customers, government, again, healthcare, legal, things like that. Definitely those are going to be customers that are interested in those functionalities. And then monitoring the systems, who can monitor jobs, who can cancel jobs, who can access the logs, those kind of things, perform restores, RHA administration, all those are going to be in there as well. And we'll just go ahead and choose one here. Go ahead and select next. Choose our user that we want to go ahead and assign that to, and then we could go ahead and finish, and we will create that role for that user. So I think it's fairly straightforward, but it does give us a lot of detailed administration and roles that we can assign for different users. Again, that's going to be very key for your customers that are security conscious. We've had customers asking for it for a while now, so it's nice to see it in version 6 and available for those customers. Let's go back over to our resource tab, and what I'll do now is I'm going to first go into instant virtual machine. I do already have some created, but what I think we'll do is we'll just do this kind of from the start. So what I'm going to do is come back up here to all nodes. Remember, we can create our groups and have this organized a little bit better for us. But we'll just go ahead and choose a machine. I have this 2012 R2 machine here. I'm just going to right-click on it, and I'm going to go ahead and install Upgrade Agent. Whoops. What am I doing there? I already have an agent there. I'm going to go ahead and choose Instant VM. I don't know why I did that. Create an Instant VM. We're going to go through and choose where the data is located. It's on our RPS. It's on a particular manager is the name of that RPS. We'll choose our backup, and I have one already created here. So we'll go ahead and choose the one from yesterday. Select Next. And if it's encrypted, we'll go ahead and choose that encryption keyword and type it in correctly. That's always going to be key there. And then you're going to choose where do you want that VM location to be created or to work with, VMware or Hyper-V. And we're going to go ahead and choose VMware in this case. And there's my vSphere server. And of course, we may have multiples, so it'll go ahead and identify those. We only have the one, so we'll go ahead and select Next. And it'll give us some configuration for that machine itself. That's what it's loading right now, so we'll go ahead and choose those. We want to go ahead and use the recovery point server for the machine that's going to run the instant VM, right? I could have another Windows server run that VM, right? So in this case, remember, instant VM is not actually, unlike virtual standby, where the actual machine, the backup is converted into a VM. This is actually, if you use the term proxying, that this machine that we specify here is basically going to present the backup to the hypervisor as if it was a virtual machine right here. So we're going to go ahead and choose the default there and select Next. What do we want to name it? I think I already have this one named, so we'll just name this one Demo because I already have that one. We could give it a description, Demo, VM, IVM, something like that, just so that we know what it is. Where do we want the VM files located? So on the recovery server, which we chose manager for that one, we would have a folder somewhere created, and we would just choose whatever folder. We'll just use this one, IVM, for us, right? And then if I want to go through and configure how much memory, the amount of processors I want to emulate, the networking information, if I want to give it a static IP, what adapter do I want to assign it to, those kind of things, we would go ahead and set up all that here. We can add the IP, the gateway, the DNS, all of that as well. We're not going to actually run this machine. I'm going to start it up, but that'll be the end of it for the demo right now. But we don't need to go through that. So I'll go ahead and click Finish. We choose now whether I want to boot that machine or boot it now, and I'll show you in Instant VM. We actually have one I created earlier that's ready to go, and I could just power that machine on. Again, the machine's not created. It's just we've created those files in that folder. Any changes I were to make to the machine while it's up and running, they will get cached in that folder, and that's why we have that folder that's created. And if you notice here, here's our VMware or Instant VM. Here's the other one that I have that's not quite running. And if we go up and we go over to our vSphere environment, you'll see that it's creating that machine and it's going ahead and creating that, right? So it's doing that for us. There's our machine, and it'll eventually create that UUID, and that machine will get up and running. And what we can do is, that's going to take a little bit of time, about 5 minutes on this one, I think. So we can go ahead and come back to it and open that console and show you as far as that goes. I don't think we want to watch it create that those UUIDs, and also we'll go ahead and just open that console to it. There we go. We'll kind of have this kind of in the corner, if you will, going on as far as that goes. We can also watch the, let's minimize that. We can watch the progress here. I could spin up this machine if I needed to, and I could actually have this kind of done ahead of time if I wanted to. I don't know the value too much in that other than it saved us those few steps and all of that as well. So while we're waiting for that to start, I'll just go through a couple other things here real quick. We can, our destinations, we've added, cloud accounts. These are not Arcserve cloud accounts, right? These would be cloud accounts that I want to go ahead and create, such as if I wanted to add, a Amazon or Azure Eucalyptus account or something like that I want to go to. Maybe I want to use FileCopy and have those cloud accounts informations, shared folders, Arcserve backup servers we can add to here already. We can go ahead and create those and have those for destinations and all that within there as well. So we can go through and add a Arcserve backup server. I think mine's on my other site. That's why it's not showing up here. I actually have it created. There it goes. It just took a moment to refresh. We go through and we add that and choose the server that we want to add as far as that goes. So previously, destinations was just recovery point servers in version 5. Now we have a couple more categories in there for the customer, depending on what they want to use and set up as far as that goes. Same kind of things down here, sites. This will bring up my 2 sites that I have, my local, my remote. If I want to manage those sites, instant virtual machines we just saw, and then storage appliances. If I had a storage appliance that I wanted to add, I would go ahead and add that appliance, the appliance name, the credentials, is it clustered, am I using vFiler with that, and those different things within that. And of course all of these are going to expand and give us those different options as we go into it, protocols, ports, passwords, IP address. Those kind of things are going to go ahead and expand as we do that. This was what makes it, easy enough where I can just go through and say, wherever it's possible, go ahead and use the hardware snapshots, right? So we would go ahead and define them there. If we come back over here, is this up and running yet? Let's give it a moment. It takes a little bit of time to switch between the console and everything else. So we're going there. You see it's actually starting to boot up here. We'll get that pretty soon. In a minute it'll give full screen and all of that as well. Now I do have a question out here. Recovery points can be copied to non-RPS servers. Well, we could use the Jumpstart functionality, right? So we could use that, and this is coming from Bill there. So we could use that Jumpstart functionality. So if I went to a recovery point server, I could use that functionality to take that recovery point, and I could choose what I want to copy off of there. I don't think well, let's see what we have here on this particular one. And there's my Jumpstart functionality. So this is not a new feature, but this is that feature where we could take, Bill, we could take and move that data off to another piece of media, disk media. The intention here is so that if we had a large amount of media, we could of backups, we could take and have them, sneaker netted or emailed, whatever you want to call it, not emailed, but FedExed over to the other location to import it there. But once they're removed, it's, in essence, the full backups that we could move as far as all of that goes as well.
And the other aspect of that is being able to back up your recovery points to Arcserve backup for archiving. And that could be done to a disk destination as well as tape.
And did the FileCopy function get updated to add this function as well? Well, FileCopy is specifically geared around files, not around images, right? So the idea here with FileCopy is that we'll be taking PDFs, Word documents, things like that, key servers, off to other sites as far as all that goes, right?
Thanks, Bill, for the questions. We appreciate them.
Absolutely. You'll see here that it's starting to actually log into that machine. That's why I'm getting a little bit different resolution here. Hopefully this kicks off here in a moment because I want to show you Instant BMR. That's could be a little bit quicker, I think. In infrastructures, can you configure a NAS? Well, you can have that as a shared location or shared folder that you want to go to as far as that goes, right? So you could have that as a location there, Dwayne. And we see here we're booting up into Windows, and that machine's going to kind of get started. What we'll do is we'll just minimize this now, and we'll go ahead and the next thing I want to show you is Instant BMR. I do want to leave just a few more minutes, so in case we have any more questions. So what we'll do is we'll, kind of like we did before, we're going to go up here into all nodes. I'm going to choose a Linux node here, and we're going to right-click on it. We're going to choose to do a restore, right? So we're going to go in here to the restore, and it'll come up. And on this Linux node, it's going to give me, do I want to do file level restore or do I want to do BMR restore? So I'm going to keep it at the BMR option here and select OK. And we're going to have some options here. Where's our backup, our Linux backup server? That's already chosen here. I only have the one. Do we, you know, it's telling us here that the backup server needs access to the target and the destination, right, the recovery points and all of that as well. And then, of course, live CD. This is, if you will, the boot CD for Linux that we use, right? So you would click here to go ahead and access it. It would load it up. Mine's virtual, so it loads it right up within there. I've already actually done this step, so we don't need to click on it. I'm going to select Next, and we're going to go ahead and choose where are we restoring from, our RPS server, and it's my Linux backup server. The machine I'm restoring is my CentOS VM and my Arcserve lab. I want to restore from this particular date, and we're going to go ahead and choose Next. Now, what we would do with that machine, and if we pop back over here, let's just see how we are there on our Windows real quick as well. Not the quickest switch, but you see Windows is still configuring and going through that. So if we go back over here to vSphere, right, you'll see I've already created a machine, and I actually have that shared out as well. That's probably why it's taking a little bit long time. Excuse me. Now on a physical machine, what I would do is I would capture the MAC address and everything like that. On a virtual machine, I'm going to go ahead and create that machine. I would go through, and as you create a machine, you decide, okay, I want this machine to be Windows, I want it to be Linux, whichever. So I told this machine I want it to be a CentOS machine, and 64-bit, right? So that was the part. It creates that blank machine, no OS, nothing like that. But I booted up, and I grab the MAC address because it's going to be important to have that information, the MAC address information. And I believe I already copied that over. Let's just make sure I have that right. A little prep here just so that we don't have to wait for me to type in those things. So what we'll do now is I'm going to disconnect from there, and we'll go ahead and power this machine off. And that's actually the wrong one there, isn't it? There we are, Linux BMR. So let's go ahead and power that machine off. Are we sure? Yes, we're sure. So I'm going to hop back over here to my Instant VM, and I'm just going to copy this information I have over. I'm going to copy over my MAC address. We thought about, not showing you this piece, but really this is a technical, right, demo. I want to make sure that you understand, these are the steps. It's not too difficult, right? We're just going to name it. This is going to give it a host name. I could go through and give it the same exact if I wanted to do that. I'm just going to name it something different there. I'm going to go through and I'm going to give it a static IP. Might be faster for me just to type that in. 0, and we'll go ahead and give it a gateway. We want to go ahead and enable Instant BMR, And we do want to go ahead and recover data automatically after the machine is started, so I won't check that one. So at that point, we'll just go through and choose Next. Now we're going to run this now, but I could set this to run at a different time. I could also go ahead and run scripts before and after, not only on the backup server, but also on the target machine, right? So we'd have those scripts running, as that is running as well, so we can inject scripts. We'll go ahead and have the job name, which is going to be BMR CentOS, and then we're going to it's just a summary, if you will, page. And we'll go ahead and submit that. We can minimize that, and we can go full screen. And you'll see that it's going to pretty much be active, waiting for that node to start up. So what we'll do is we'll run back over here, and we'll go ahead and start this machine, so power it on. And as that machine powers on, what we'll actually do is I'll go ahead and pop out a console on that one as well, but you'll see pretty soon that, whoops, let's go ahead and open our console.
And we were talking earlier in the slide where that when we've got the Linux VMR happening, you could start using that node, and it will prioritize the stuff that you're asking for in terms of its recovery if it's not fully recovered. And I think that's pretty powerful stuff.
And so we're already imaging that machine, and if we pop back over to the UDP console, you'll see, and it's got a refresh here, but you'll see that it's connected, it's deploying out that image and all of that as well. So we can go through that. We can also see the states here, the Linux BMR. We can see the progress through that, and then of course we can always go through, and we'll actually see now there's that live CD template sitting there waiting. It's actually doing stuff in the background. As we continue to watch, we'll see that it boots up that machine. And if I go back over to the live to the UDP interface, what we'll see here pretty soon is it'll actually show us a percentage while this machine is still up and running, and we have a login and we can start doing things on it. So we do have that up and running. I do have my Windows console. Let's see where we are with that. And of course, do remember I'm running this on my laptop. I think I have 6 VMs running right now, so I don't have a lot of resources, so that's slowing things down a little bit too. So just keep that in mind here as far as all that goes. And we can go back over to UDP, configuring system. We see that that's happening. Right, so we do see what's going on within that. And of course, we'll wait for this machine to start up, and we'll have that. Again, it takes about 3-4 minutes before this machine will start. There we go, before we can start accessing it and doing those things and deploying out that image. What will happen is, as a user, let's say we're deploying out the image, it's not completely there, but the user can start using Linux. What will happen is as they access pieces, if it's not already imaged, it will go out and grab those pieces, right, to go ahead and apply those. Of course, we're going to capture changes, all of that as well, so that will be the steps. Now, while we're waiting for this to happen, I do see we have another question. Are there any plans for Mac OS 10? They did not make this release, Mac OS. We do get a lot of requests for Mac OS. Sue, if you've seen that on the roadmap, I want to say that I have, but I don't think I've seen a solid date to it or anything like that yet.
Yeah, there's been some talk about it. I know there are more requests for it here and there, but we'll keep in mind that the regular Arcserve backup product does support OS X as an agent. So it can be a target, or rather a source, for Arcserve backup if you have that as part of your overall environment. While it doesn't support it within UDP, the console, we can certainly do it within the Arcserve backup console.
Right, and as you see here, we're at what, 18, 34, 37%, 40%. This is a base machine, so it's going to go pretty quickly, but we're already able to log into this machine and start using it there as far as that goes. Just to jump back real quick to the Linux BMR functionality. So a little bit quicker, I think, than the Windows side, but typically Linux tools are a little bit faster than Windows as far as all that goes. So that is the Linux BMR, and I think if we hop back over here to the Windows, it's ready for me to log in as well. Resources on my machine has a little bit of trouble tabbing between the two, but we're ready to log in on this machine as well. So the advantage to instant or IVM, right, is that we're not having to assign this resource ahead of time, the storage resource side of things. We do want to be cognizant of other resources, networking, things like that. That machine that's running going to be that machine that's going to be the middleman, if you will, that's running that. You want to make sure it has the resources to do it, those kind of things. So I see the two as kind of two different fits, but this is really nice because, you know what, if I do know, you know, I can go ahead and have this piece already created and ready to go. If I know that for some reason I need to do a failover, I can just go back into the UDP console and already have it there and just power on that machine either through, and let's go ahead and minimize this one and go back over here. I can either do it through there or I can manage it through Instant Virtual Machines. You'll see I have that one up and running. This one I can power on and those kind of things. So I can manage, I can shut down, I can delete, I can do everything right here through the UDP console. Alternatively, I can go into, in this case, vSphere and manage it through there as well if I wanted to do that. So different ways I could do that once I have them created up and running and those kind of things. I got done with, you know, a couple of minutes left to spare there. Sue, anything that, any questions that I didn't catch? I still see some coming in, but
one just came in. Recovery points to tape. Is it still the fully merged full backup or that goes to tape, or has that changed?
All right. So
and really the answer, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Sue.
I was going to say that that has not changed. It's exactly the same thing as it was in UDP 5. It's just that we are focusing on the ability to do it inside of the console and actually initiate that that backup to tape from within the console. So the back-end piece of it has not changed. Is there, you're welcome, is there an in-place upgrade process from the prior version of UDP? There absolutely is. You can, you know, for version 5, if you've got that installed, you can absolutely install it right over the existing version. So 6.0 is fine. Now, if you were part of the release candidate or the beta program, we would ask you to please uninstall any of the beta code before you install 6. But if you have a prior version, you're good to go. Now we have another question. Does it support tape libraries from the UDP console? During the demo, I think you saw Stacy was able to view the tape libraries within his console there. Can you show that to us? There we go.
Yep, there we go.
And yes, we can. To create the libraries, you do need to do that within and manage those within the Arcserve backup console. So you set those up first, and then you can view them within UDP console. You assume that the Arcserve backup is still version 16.5. Actually, no. We are going to be using, or we're going to be releasing concurrently, Arcserve backup 17. There is going to be a separate presentation in, I think, about a week or so. Am I right? I think. Watch for that on our site, but maybe I can follow up. There's going to be a PowerPoint and demo of Arcserve 17 coming up very shortly in the next week or so. But if you do have a 16.5 iteration, we should be able to be working together with those.
And Bill has a really good question here.
Yeah,
I think so. Bill has a question here about reboots required for in-place upgrades from version 5. We have changed our driver to give us that rebootless kind of functionality if we upgrade the agent or have an update or something like that come out. But since we are changing the driver, that does require a reboot when you go from version 5 to version 6. After then, there should not be a reboot. Or if it is a fresh install, of course, there will not be a reboot required either. So great question there, Bill. I mean, we do say rebootless, but when you change from 5 to 6, it will require a reboot in order to do that. So.
All right. So
okay, well, it looks like that's all the questions.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, thank you for that great presentation, Sue and Stacy. It was really informative. This afternoon, I'll send a link to this recording for today's webcast to everyone that has registered. Remember, if you have any questions for us about the product or release, you can reach us at arcserve.com. And thanks, everyone, for attending. Have a great rest of your day. Sue, did you have something else to add?
Yeah, we just wanted to, we did ask someone asked if, what the current GA date, when does this go live? And I believe, do we have an exact date that you can share with us, Mary? I just want to make sure I'm being accurate.
The date that I've been given is February the 2nd. Great.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure that our partners got this information as early as possible so that you could be prepared for that release date. Thanks for that clarity.
Yes, great question. And thanks, everybody, again. We will talk to you soon.